Welcome to Teachers Transition Podcast, a show dedicated to supporting teachers transition in, through, and out of education. Grab your seat and let's talk about how to make your next transition a successful one. Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Teachers Transition Podcast, where we're helping teachers transition in, transition through, in some cases, transition out of education. And I'm thrilled to have a wonderful guest. We share a music career together. We're both from the eastern side of the country. I was part of the eastern side of the country, but he is the visionary of Teachers Cast Educational Network. And he is also the podcast host of Digital Learning Today. And I want to welcome to our session today with Jeff Bradbury. Thanks, Jeff, for joining us today.
Great to see you. Great to have me. Thank you so much.
So, as I said before, I transitioned out of education in 2022, and I actually transitioned back as well. And, when I went to look for another job, didn't find a lot of resources out there. As many teachers, although teaching definitely has been rewarding for 25 years, for me, it was trying to find another gear in my career that I can make an impact. So love hearing your podcast and the impact you're making. And I know you began your career in music education. You've even conducted orchestras, operas, including performance at Carnegie Hall. And how did those experiences shape the way you lead, teach, and coach educators today?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's the transition between being a music educator and a professional development provider is really similar, right?
Okay.
You're just putting down the instruments and you're picking up science, math, and social studies subjects. You're taking this concept of winds, brass, and strings, and you're turning it into elementary, middle, and high school students or teachers. And there's a lot of similarities. I mean, really, it was just one day I was doing one thing and then transition, here we go.
And what would you say, what was that turning point as far as when you switched to the instructional technology?
About 13 years ago, I was teaching high school in North Jersey, and my district decided to open up PD after school.
Okay.
Kind of fun. So I did a couple sessions basically on how to use your iPhone. This is back 2008, 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. How do you use this? How to use your iPad? Those kinds of things. And at the time, I never had any other reason not to get out of music. This is what I love to do. As you mentioned, I was conducting in Manhattan. I was conducting in Pennsylvania. I just got my master's in orchestral conducting, right? Like, this was my life.
Sure.
But funny thing happens when it's time to settle down and have kids. You can't drive all those distances, and you can't be out of the house for rehearsals. And if anybody knows anything about being a band teacher or an orchestra teacher, the school day stops at 3:00, but you're there till 9:00, 9:30, whenever parents pick up their kids from rehearsals. Can't do all that stuff at once, right? So that's when I picked up podcasting, and the podcast became my way of becoming an instructional coach. Through the podcast, I became a Google innovator. Through the podcast, I became interested in learning more about professional development, et cetera, et cetera. Next thing I know, I was an instructional coach in a district in North Jersey, which led me to moving to North Jersey, which led me to move to Connecticut. And so it was just a really easy transition. But I mean, look, when you're faced with, do you want to live your life in your classroom till all hours? Or do you want to be the best dad you can be to triplets? Wasn't really a difficult decision to make.
Yeah, I hear you. Definitely having kids kind of changes your career path and how you view music education, because definitely as a fellow music teacher, and my son was in the band season at the high school, and it's a full-time commitment. I mean, sometimes I'm dropping him off 5:00 in the morning. He's getting home sometimes 10 and 11 o'clock at night during competition season. It's like, how do you parent? How do you have a life? So I definitely, and God bless you, triplets. Wow. That must have been a fun experience to navigate with three. I only had one at a time. So, in addition to those challenges, how did you kind of navigate? What were some of the challenges that you or strategies that helped you kind of build buy-in with teachers? Because as a music teacher, I was the technology person, but sometimes teachers, as forward thinking as we can, sometimes we are behind the eight ball as far as with technology.
Yeah. It's all about relationships, right? When you are a music teacher, you are a volunteer program. You are the one that is getting kids that are not on your roster to come back for the program. And there was a year, and I say this a lot, and I have all the respect in the world for high school band teachers because of what they need to do. You need to convince a 15, 16, 17, and 18-year-old to stand on a football field outside on a Friday night in the rain with a feather on their hat
Yes.
and do that every single
Yes.
day. And the way you do that is you make it the room where it happens. The band room is the
Yeah.
place to be. The band room is where the party is. The band room is, hey, if you're having a bad day, come on down. The band room is, if you don't want to sit at lunch, come on down. The band room is, hey, if you want to just practice after school, before school, during school, what, come on down. And that is essentially instructional coaching. You need to make yourself the place to be. You need to have your session be, nope, I got to be there. I know I'm after contract. I know I'm after hours. I know I got stuff to grade, but man, we're going to learn something new today. And that's the way that I've taken all of my PD sessions, my conference sessions. And it was through that lens that led us 12 years ago now, 2012. It was March 26th. I went to a conference in Philadelphia, and I walked away with the
Okay.
idea of we're going to create Ed Camp New Jersey. And I put a team together
Mm.
of teachers and administrators and superintendents, and we did one. And we did one again. We did one
Wow.
again. And it's still going. It's one of my biggest legacies right now. But the greatest accomplishment I ever had creating Ed Camp New Jersey was when the cops came and they said, we don't have enough parking for you. You're going to have to tell some people to not show up anymore. And that was after
Wow,
having
that's a nice problem.
1,200 teachers on a Saturday.
Wow. Incredible, incredible, incredible. Wow.
You just make
So
it the
building
band
that
room.
community.
You have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually interviewed my former music director who retired, and she was talking about, finding your tribe and finding that
Yep.
community. And sounds like you were able to do that with your students and,
Well,
with your
it's
colleagues.
finding is one. You're building it.
Hmm.
Like you are
Yes,
building that tribe and you're building that tribe in you, right? They don't have to play the violin at 16,
that's
18
true.
years old. They don't have to learn how to play the cello, right?
Yes.
Carnegie Hall, as you mentioned, that was a recruiting tool. Come
Hmm.
and play at this prestigious thing. And
Yes.
no one's ever going to take that experience away from those kids. And I've taught
No.
music forever now. And those particular kids, I'll always have, even on LinkedIn, right? You always have that bond with those kids that went to battle with you in the biggest city in the world.
Yes. Yes. So true. So true. Well, you created the Carnival University as a professional development model. Can you share what made that innovative successful? Sorry, in that initiative successful, and how others might replicate something similar in their districts?
Yeah, I was teaching my first instructional coaching job was in North Jersey. It was 5 buildings, and
Okay.
I needed to create an experience because
Hmm.
when you're the first coach in a district and there are no rules for you, there's also no rules for them. So you have to realize it's the inverted pyramid here. I could go classroom to classroom to classroom, but there's how many classrooms I have to work with? But
Yeah.
if you can create that ed camp like experience, and we were the Cardinals, so we called it Cardinal University. And the idea was, look, you start with the superintendent, get his buy-in, get the principal's buy-in, and you ask the questions. What do you want your staff to know? Great. Can I do
Mm.
that during the day? Now, obviously, there's an
Yes,
investment in there because they have to get substitutes. But
that's
putting
true.
together the classes to say, look, if you want your teachers using slides or Google Classroom or a Google site, whatever it happens to be, I could do that on a Monday, but then I'd be taking up your time. Why don't we come up
Hmm.
with a day where I'll run a session 3 times. You get 1 sub. The sub goes to 3 different classrooms, morning, noon, and night. And I'll make sure that everybody is done. Then it is a volunteer position for the teachers. They have to get in their car and come to central office. But at the same time, you're able to hit every single teacher out there that needs help. Then you're building
Wow.
those relationships, because tomorrow I'm going to be in your classroom, or tomorrow I'm going to be doing the grade level meeting for you, which then goes into it. So many instructional coaches have the wrong concept of what a coaching cycle is. They think
Hmm.
it's me and you are going to work today, and then we're going to work tomorrow, then we're going to work tomorrow. And the Cardinal University concept starts with, no, we're going to get everybody in a room at the same time. And then tomorrow we're going to do it in smaller groups. And then tomorrow we're going to do it 1-to-1. And then tomorrow we're going to then to meet. And then, so you're just, you're narrowing down the focus. Maybe you don't have to hit every single classroom. Maybe you only have to hit 30
Yes.
in the entire district, but you're going to get to those 30 because the teachers now have buy-in to you. But that's no different than we're going to run a rehearsal, we're going to have a sectional, and then I'm going to do private
That's
lessons.
true.
It's the same
That's
exact
true.
concept, and it works.
That's true. And picking back to my son's band, as much as they hated coming, in Texas, it's 100 degrees during the summer. They hated
Yep.
getting up early and practicing. When you hear their performance, like he's now on the varsity football team and they play during, for UIL or competitions, the amazing sound that they make and the pride that they have, for them, it's worth the sacrifice. It's worth, they have that buying that we're talking about, and they're willing to do whatever, willing to go, get up early in the morning, stay late at night, because they're building that community. They're proud of what they sound like and who they are. So very powerful. Okay. So, you have a wonderful platform called Teachers Cast, and it has, a great reach. And when you started in 2011, how, has your vision evolved? This is my first season, recording, and I have ideas of how I want to make an impact, but I'd love to hear your story and journey, how it's evolved from 2011 to now.
I'm going to give you the correct answer, but I'm going to give you the wrong one.
Okay.
It's all personal.
Okay.
This started because my district at the time wanted me to teach more courses. Well, where am I going to go to
Yeah.
figure out what these courses are? Well, let's have a
Mm.
podcast. Now I can bring you on. You're the expert. I get to ask
Yeah.
you every question possible. I'm finding you at the time, 2011 and 12. I'm finding you on Twitter because you wrote a blog post, or because you're an expert, or because you're an administrator, whatever the reason for being. Well, now I have you in my office. We're gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna ask you everything that I can. Now we're gonna have a relationship, and that's how I've had amazing
Yeah.
friendships with these amazing people for the last decade and a half now. And it originally just started as, I need to learn something. It was 100% self-centered, if you will. I need to learn something. It just happens that a podcast is recorded. It
Sure.
just
Sure.
happens that the questions that I was asking were being useful to other people. And then it spread, and then it got bigger, and then Teacher Cast morphed, and then the podcast took off, and the blog took off, and became an instructional coach. And then that led me into working with companies and doing some amazing, wonderful things. And even now, it's always been, I need to learn something. So who do I know, or who can I find, or
Yeah.
how can I leverage the network so that way I can support my base? Sometimes my base is myself. Sometimes my base is my students. Hey, I want to do a project on project-based
Yeah.
learning. Who do I know? Great. That's going to spark some ideas for lesson plans, or for PD sessions, or anything like that. And is there a part of this that says I'm building for the world? Of course there is. There's a lot of stuff that I do that I don't need to
Yeah.
do. It's it's a great topic, and let's put this on the air. But if you look at the history of Teacher Cast, you'll see there's times where I'm talking Google. There's times where, if you go through all the publishing dates of the content, there's times where I'm focusing on Microsoft
Yeah.
stuff. There's times where I'm focusing on broadcasting stuff. There's times where I'm focusing on, equipment and productivity. So it really just has become my handbook. right? So that way, when you
Hmm.
ask, like, do you want to come on or do you want to speak or do you want to, yeah, I got 14 years worth of, chapters, if you will, that we can pull from. And that's an amazing resource. And so what do you want to do with it? And yeah, we focus on instructional coaching, we focus on productivity, we focus on Google. And my main concern is, how can I help you do things better, quicker, and with less time in your hands? Says the triplet dad, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, if you ask something of me, where do I go to get the answers now? I go to my own toolbox that happens to have hours long of, I mean, I put all of my podcast episodes into Notebook LM. Where was that 10 years ago? So I can
Yeah. Where
easily,
was exactly?
um,
Yeah.
I can research the world of education from my own voice. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It is. It is. And just personally thinking,
It sounds weird to
you
say
know,
that, right? But I
in
mean,
2011 in that
you're
area,
building your own encyclopedia.
yeah, you are. You are. You are. And every teacher needs PD. I mean, every year. And I could remember the many times where I had to go to a certain, website, or I had to go to, a county based or some kind of region based, directory for classes. And there were so many, you know, looking, kind of sorting through it. There was not too much stuff that I wanted to really learn. I kind of did a lot of the PD just because I needed to get it done. And definitely hearing that you created, one PD for yourself to help you grow and learn, and also PD that's going to help, other teachers like especially specialist teachers, music teachers and other teachers where you might not find the kind of content that you're looking for. But here's a great resource where you can meet those PD hours and also learn and grow, in your career. So that is awesome. Now,
It's been a fun
moving on
ride.
to, it, so I was reading you have how many episodes? I don't want to misquote approximately.
The only way that I'll ever know that answer is to look at how many files I have on my Dropbox. It's more than
Gotcha.
2,000. I
Okay.
don't know. I've been doing this since 2010.
Yeah, I was reading some about
TeacherCast started
2000.
July
That's
11th of
amazing.
2011. I mean, and I've done, at one point in time, I had 9 shows running through iTunes and stuff like that. I mean,
Wow.
once I get to a certain number, I get bored and I pivot. So I just keep moving forward.
Okay. Now, speaking of pivot, I understand you have a new book that's coming out or released. Can you tell us about that new book?
When I first became an instructional coach back in 2009, 8, somewhere in there, um, I didn't have any help. I didn't have any support.
Hmm.
And so I started a podcast called Ask the Tech Coach. And just like with
Okay.
TeacherCast, it was, okay, I need to learn something. Who can I get the answers from? And one podcast became another, became 300 total shows, roughly around there. And all of that stuff, all of the information, all the content, 15 years of being an instructional coach in multiple districts, becoming an admin, all of that stuff turned into my first book called Impact Standards. And you can find out more
Okay.
information over at teachercast.net/standards. And essentially, it is a blueprint for how can a school district answer the question, what would I like to see when I walk into the classroom? How do I want my
Mm.
teachers to be teaching? How do I want my students to be learning? And it takes you from the moment that you ratify your strategic plan. And usually the strategic
Okay.
plan says things like, I want all of my students to be this. I want to have Chromebooks for everybody.
Yes.
I want. And it gives the benchmarks, right? Well, how do you get there? How do you
Yes.
answer that? So the book really does pick up from, okay, we've now said what we were going to do. This is the how, and this is the through. I
Mm.
want to get this. I want to get that. And we're doing it through curriculum focused, standards based instructional coaching. And most people
Okay.
don't think that instructional coaching, or what used to be called tech coaching has to do with curriculum, and that's another conversation we can have. But the idea is anything that your instructional coach can do, whether it be your math coach, STEM coach, tech coach, your AI coach, whatever it is, that's all standards based and curricular, and they should be seen as one. And if it is, and if you give your instructional coaches the right pillars to stand on and the right structure when they fall, you can meet the needs of your strategic plan and you can have a tremendous instructional coaching program that's going to support from the top down. And by top, I do mean Board of Education on down. It's not unheard of to have your instructional coaches teaching the Board of Education about AI. It's not unheard of the instructional coaches going in and working with the assistant superintendent on how do you organize and be more productive. And then 5 minutes later, they're in third grade talking about westward expansion and cell division. Use these
Mm-hmm.
people as the professionals they are. And how do we do that? That's my book, teachercast.net/standards. Look up impact standards on Amazon, and you can, of course, find out more information over at teachercast.net.
I mean, definitely sounds like a great topic. I serve on some committees where we kind of talk about what the school, their goals, a district-based improvement committee or a campus-based. So that's definitely a book I think I'm going to pick up because we always kind of have a big picture of what we like the students to achieve, but then how do we now get there? So that's definitely a great, important topic. In our educational world and for all leaders and teachers as well. Um, Navigating, as a digital learning coach, you kind of work between both worlds, supporting teachers, administrators, and of course, district leadership. What advice would you give for coaches navigating that interesting dynamic?
Keep your eyes open, keep your head down, and keep moving forward. You are somebody who I consider to be the fulcrum of a school district. You're in the classroom, you're in the principal's office, you're also in the superintendent's office, you're also a member of the community at large because you
Yes.
are that person that gets to see all over the place, right? When the bell rings, everybody goes to work, but you're standing in the
Hmm.
hallway. What do you do next? And how do you make it work? And that's no different than being the orchestra teacher. It's September.
Yeah.
You've got a budget. What do you want to purchase? What music do you want to buy? What trip do you want to go on? And how do you want to get there? The bottom line is the concert is the only thing that you have. You have a date for a concert. Well, how many rehearsals do you need? What kind of rehearsals do you want to do? Are you going to go easy on them today? Are you going to go hard on them today? Are you going to only focus
Hmm.
on right hand versus left hand versus note reading versus foot tap? And that's no different than coaching. Are we going to focus on meeting the standards? Are we going to focus on just getting comfortable teaching things? Are we going to focus today on building relationships? Are we going to focus today on communication? It doesn't matter what it is. What are you going to do at the time that you're given? And so putting this together
Hmm.
and realizing that your coaches are in that very unique position, not to be educators, but to be
Hmm.
entrepreneurs. And that's a
Hmm.
difficult transition that any coach has to make. You are now a business owner. You are the business. How are you going to get them to
Yeah.
buy in? And that just goes back to be the band room.
Yeah, that's well, I never thought of it as an entrepreneur because a lot of teachers they see instructional coaches almost like a secondary administrator. Like, okay, are they going to
Right.
try to get me? It's a gotcha moment. Are they
And
going to
and you're
critique
not.
everything? Yeah, yeah.
My first coaching experience, I have no problem saying it. I failed. I
Hmm.
walked in with my Google certified educator polo. They don't want
Hmm.
that.
No.
They want to they right because they don't know what coaching is. They've never had it before. So how are you going to
Yeah.
build those relationships? Right
Mm.
now, working as a middle school teacher, I have built a relationship with 80% of my school. I'm more effective right now as an instructional coach, which I'm not, but I am, than I
Okay.
was in 15 years of actually having the job title because I can now
Wow.
walk into my friends' classrooms and I can coach them without them realizing I'm coaching them. And that's
Mm.
awesome. That's no different than I can be your orchestra teacher, or we could actually have a professional. I'm saying this to, like, middle school, high school kid. We could
Sure.
actually
Sure.
have a musical relationship there where it's, hey, tell me about, about the music that you like and what you listen to. By the way, let's pick up the fiddle and play. And it's the same skills just popping out in a different way, in a different format. You're talking to adults versus kids, but
Yeah.
you're still a volunteer program. It's no different than what you and I do here. What's going to make me, with a billion different options, subscribe to your podcast?
Exactly.
It's you. You're the heartbeat. You're
Yeah.
the entrepreneur. And is it
Yeah.
communication? Is it the thumbnails? Is it the introduction? Is it the
Mhm.
what is somebody going to do to actually A, click, but then B, subscribe, and then the ultimate, give me your email address.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the game that I like to play. Not specifically, but I need every teacher to give me their email address, figuratively speaking, right?
Sure.
Make that
Sure.
commitment. Like, commit to listening to the podcast or checking out something or downloading something from me, all right?
Mhm.
We can see that in analytics. In the music
Yeah.
department, we hear that by way of, did they practice? And
Yeah.
in the coaching world, we see that as, are they asking you back into the classroom?
Yeah.
It's all the same
That
stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense because definitely, as now a podcaster, I know I have people that I brought in that are sharing important information about how do you transition, but now how do you now reach the audience, and also you know looking at analytics, how do you now get past the what I'm seeing, the generation where everything is a 3 to 5 second
Yep.
click and they move on. It's not content. It's okay, can I grab your attention and how do I keep it? And then, like you said, after I grabbed your attention among the million other videos that are out there, now how do I get you to be part of the tribe? How do I be part of the community so that you're still connected? So
You can have the best podcast that's out there, but if your thumbnail isn't working, you're not going to get clicked on. Let
that's
me
true.
say that a different way. You can have the best you could be the best instructional coach, but if you're wearing the Google certified educator polo and nobody wants to talk to you,
Yeah.
it's the same thing, right? You could be the best orchestra teacher, but if your jokes aren't funny,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and that's different where I am in middle school now, the kids have no choice. I'm on their schedule. They're going to come to technology class tomorrow. There
Exactly.
is no, I need to be your best friend, because if not, you're going to stop playing the violin on me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a different philosophy. And that's what people don't understand when they go from teacher to administrator, because you have to listen to the administrator,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to listen to the coach.
That's
So
true.
how is the coaching department being set up for success? How is the band program being set up for success? Is the band just over there on the stands, or do they get to be featured on the field during halftime?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the same way like music teachers, we're not, prep coverers. We don't cover a
Correct.
classroom teacher. I tell my students, I don't teach songs, for song's sakes. I teach songs in elementary school level for content because it demonstrates content, and then you have skills which will translate to other things. And what I teach is just as valuable as, English, math. And I
It's
take,
it's
mhm,
the words, right?
yes.
If we say the word "and,"
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching you, um you as a teacher need to teach cell division and westward expansion. And by the way, you need to use Google Classroom and Google Gemini and Notebook LM
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
versus, no, we're going to save you time. You're still going to be teaching westward expansion, but if you do it through Google Classroom, you no longer have to worry about, did Timmy turn in his paper? It's all right in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing it through. You're teaching valuable life skills. You're teaching collaboration. You're teaching
Mm-hmm.
creativity. You're teaching all of the C's,
Yes.
whether they're 3, 5, 6, or 8. You're
Yes.
doing it through music
Mhm.
education.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
doing it through being a dad. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing it through But if you say you're going to now go to do band and you have to put them on a field and they have to wear a hat and they have to have a feather. No. You're teaching them how to stand up and be proud of the product that they're developing and delivering to everybody. You're
Yes.
just doing it through a rainstorm. It's once you change the vocabulary, people start to go, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to teach band because me, strings guy, my second school district that I was hired at, first thing that they asked me after I shook their hand and said yes, they said, so we need an assistant marching band director. Do you want to do it? Sure. I've never been on a football field in my life. Sure, I'll do it. And next thing I know, I'm a marching band director with no training. But you know what? You're going to say yes to things sometimes and you're going to do it and you're going to have a good time. And now I can empathize with every single marching band teacher out there and going, nope, I've been there. And it's no different than, let's go back to coaching again. Coaching before the kids was different than coaching after the kids. Because now I've got something that I can relate to all of these people with.
Sure.
Before, I'm a music teacher walking in your classroom teaching you how to teach third grade. There's no connection there. None whatsoever.
Yeah.
But now, being a music teacher, being a classroom teacher, being a coach, now I can walk in and, okay, now we can find some common vocabulary and we can, hey, how's the kids? Mine are doing fine. By the way, let's get together here.
Sure.
It's just changed everything.
Yeah, it's really a mindset change to you can apply to so many different areas of your life, and you've kind of spelled it out so eloquently. Every year or every couple years, there's a new educational buzzword. I remember a couple of years ago, it was academic rigor, and it seems like a lot of districts and schools and superintendents, they find a new buzzword. How have you navigated through the difference of new buzzwords, the ever changing? We're switching to this curriculum. Navigating with teachers when they're resistant to change.
Well, teachers don't do buzzwords, right? They roll their eyes at it.
Exactly.
But a teacher knows how to teach, right? So, do you call it a mood swing or do you call it the pendulum shifts? Right? Like,
True.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
What is your job as a teacher? You have one job as a teacher, right? People are going to tell me I'm wrong, but you have one job as a teacher, and I'll tell you exactly what that is. It's the same job you have as a conductor. As a conductor, you are on the stage and you are facing the wrong direction. And you don't have any instrument in your hand, and you have a stick. You have one job on that stage. Your job is to inspire. Your job is to it doesn't matter if it's third graders, eighth graders, or Carnegie Hall and opera companies.
Yeah.
Your job is to inspire them to come together for a common goal and a common vision to which you're giving to them real time.
Yes.
What do you think a teacher does? Your goal is to get everybody right now in real time to learn about westward expansion and cell division, and you're going to do so, but you know what? You're the only one standing up. You're the only one looking in the opposite direction. You're the only one that at the end of the day, right, gets to have their name on the class. Everybody else is just, this is period 5. This is the you name it symphony. This is the whatever, right? So again, what does the word maestro mean? Maestro means teacher. There is no direction. Your only role is to inspire. Now take that back into podcasting. My only goal with this episode is to inspire somebody to click on the button and listen tomorrow, or as a guest, go search for me, or go check out the book, or go right. All of those things. As a coach, I'm hoping that I can inspire you to come up and go, sure, coming back tomorrow. This was a good experience. Let's try this again.
Yes.
You don't bat 1,000. You're barely hitting 500 if you're lucky, right? And you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But at the end of the day, your only job is to inspire somebody to do things. And so There's so many different similarities between the PD world, the coaching world, the orchestra world, the parenting world, the middle school teaching world. Try inspiring people to do something. A couple months ago, we had Halloween on a Friday night. Who wants to be a middle school teacher teaching 8th period? I happen to have 6th graders at the time. Try inspiring them when they're, high on sugar.
Yeah.
But we did it.
I had 2nd graders.
There you go.
Yes.
I found one topic. We did it extremely slow the entire time because I had to get, and that's no different than, okay, we're only going to focus on these 5 measures today. That's it.
Yeah. So I guess with that same mindset, you also use that to help teachers that are struggling with digital tools, because every year there's some new, digital tool that we have to get used to. And
think about it. What does every teacher want? They want it the same way. They don't want change, right? One of the things that I talk about at the beginning of my book is the innovation curve. What is the innovation curve? 2% are your go-getters.
Yes.
People like you and I, right? Like podcast, let's go try this thing, right?
Sure.
Then you have up to 13%, which is, okay, I've heard about this thing enough. I'll put my foot in the water. And then up to 23%, you're getting to the top of the curve. And it's, all right, well, if somebody else has recommended it, I'll give it a shot. And then you've got the people that have to go uphill in order to go down. And then you've got the laggards, which are in the back going, dude, I'm retiring in 3 months.
Sure.
And you're on that curve all over the place at any point in time. Having a bad day, hey, look, I could be a laggard too, right? I just don't bother me today. Not the time that I want to be learning about Google stuff, right?
Sure.
And how do you quickly figure out who is where on that list at any given time? Think of your students, right? Some of them are going to be wonderful students and suddenly they have a little breakup and it's not their time right now. Give them some space. This is called parenting, right? All of those different things. And so you need to figure out where everybody is on that scale, but then you need to immediately shift to focusing on, okay, how do we get those 13% down to 5%? How do we get the 20% down to 15%? And who can I focus on that sounds like they're in the 50% to get them to the 30% by the end of whose day can I transform into? Because that's actually the one where tomorrow I want to get into their classroom first thing in the morning and go, hey, you were great yesterday. How you doing?
Yes. Wow.
It's teaching. And that's no different than, hey, you played that passage really good. You want to come in for a lesson tomorrow? I'll show up early. Like, can you make it before school, or can you make it during study hall, or what? Like, I think we're almost there. Let's just spend 15 minutes on this. I think you're going to get this. It's no difference.
No, it truly is. And you make it very plain and very easy to understand. It transfers to everything we do in life. And, we've been talking about SHOP is for people getting into teaching, those that are transitioning, those that are trying to continue to build, and enhance their craft. You've had a lot of guests, I'm sure, that some of them have transitioned out. Any trends or any things or any key moments or gems that you've learned about, helping teachers that decide, hey, it's my time to transition out to another career, that you can share with us?
That topic usually comes in 2 forms. Is the transition my choice, or was it made for me?
Okay.
For many coaches, they made the choice to transition into coaching, but they don't make the choice to leave. There are school districts right now, and I'm not going to say which ones, but major city schools that now have only 2 instructional coaches. There's a major school district in the Midwest. It's a rather cold school district. They are now down to 5 instructional coaches. Wow. And when I heard this over the summertime at ISTE, I was just shocked. I mean, school districts that I went down and visited, and they brought out their 25 coaches because they're not as, I don't mean to say this word this way, but they're not essential. They're not working
Yeah,
directly with students on a schedule. So of course, when money gets tight, where are you going to look?
of course.
And so some of those transitioned back into the classroom. They're tenured educators. We can't get rid of you because you're a we're going to give you a classroom again. Some
Yeah,
of them found the ed tech world successfully. Some of them found the ed tech world unsuccessfully, where after a year, they're just like, dude, this isn't for me. I got to get back in. And they couldn't
yeah,
handle being free, if you want to say that word. And
yes, absolutely.
even myself, I went from coaching to a bigger coaching to administration to I'm in the classroom and I'm having a great time with it.
Yeah,
And the transition is there's a lot of conversations that have to go when those things happen.
yeah, yeah. That's interesting you say that because when I transitioned in 2022, it was nice to be able to go to the bathroom anytime I want to, have a full lunch. Um, but there were aspects of it of working in a corporate job where didn't feel like I was being seen I think teachers, underestimate the power and impact they have when students, are, calling their name or saying, Mr. Curtin, well, so and so, you made a difference, or just the interaction or thank you, where you go sometimes to other situations, you're just a social security number, you're just one of 10,000 employees, and it doesn't seem like you have that kind of impact, almost like you can almost be invisible in a cubicle, and I think this podcast and others, like I was talking to Jeff, our friend Jeff Patterson, about, he was
Mhm.
talking about even the market is changing with ed tech, and 2022 there was all these jobs, and now things are shifting where there's layoffs, and you mentioned about making transitions in different areas of education, and sometimes you have to say, okay, I'll try this, but maybe I need to switch over to this, or I need to make some more adjustments because as I as I talk to many teachers, they think the grass is always greener on the other side. You know, you make $100,000, you easily, right? You have, you got all these stock options, and so um, your position now, do you feel that you found kind of your greatest joy there? Do you think where do you see yourself the next 5 or 10 years as far as in your
Oh,
career?
that's a dangerous question to ask me. That's a dangerous question right there. Um, there's two things out there. And I would say this to you today, and I would say this to you 20 years ago. Um,
Hmm.
Never look at your feet.
Okay.
Never look at your feet. Um, and that comes from conducting, right? You need to know where you
Yes.
are, you need to know where you're going, and you need to be listening and reacting to what you've just heard so you can figure out how to, I'll use the conducting terms, make the gesture to help the room and the group in front of you move to where you would like it to go next. And there's other ways of saying that,
Yes.
there's many ways and many metaphors that people have used, but I like to talk in musical terms. Um, if you're looking at your feet, or if you're looking at the current page that you're conducting, you're not paying attention to the next page. You're not preparing for it.
Yes. No, that's pretty profound. Look up. Be sensitive to what's going on. Um,
But
wow. Because Mhm.
at the same time, and one just came over here. They're never going to be 11 years old again. So
No.
enjoy the
Hmm.
moment.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
That's true.
You've had yours at different ages. That means you've been able to live 3 years old a couple of times and live 5 years. I'm never gonna have a 5-year-old again. So
Yeah.
always enjoy the moment. The kids that you have in front of you, the opportunities you have in front of you, go do this with this one person. You're
Yes.
never going to recreate those in the aggregate. You're always, to quote Moneyball, you're always going to be, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. But at the same time, like, no, your feet are where you are, but your eyes should always be open.
Yes. Yes. No, that's very profound. My son is on. He just made the varsity football team, and we went to the game on Friday, and we were so proud because in middle school he would have nothing to do with football or sports, and he's worked and worked hard over the last 3 years, and just to see him on the field and enjoy the game, it's one of those moments like, hey, 3-4 years ago, he's going to be in college. You're
Right.
not going to be able to get these moments again. And my wife and I was like, wow, this is what we live for. These are the moments that we cherish. This is kind of we will never get this again. And these moments, we have to capture it and be fully present for. So yeah.
My first superintendent had this thing, and I'll never forget it. I always reference this, but he says, if you wake up every morning and you go to work, something's wrong. You get to go to school. And so do they. So make it be school.
Yes. Yes.
School is where you play. Now, if you can combine those things, awesome. If you can combine that stuff, awesome. And if a coach can help you, right? But if you can combine work and school, like I go to school every day, dude.
Yeah.
I'd be working somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not.
We're not.
I get to go to school every day.
Mm-hmm.
I get to do something. I get to make a gesture, and a kid gets to smile.
Yes.
And my only job is to get them to smile a second time.
That's true.
Yep.
And then the impact later, I share with my students, hey, my first 5th grade class, they're now like 35. They're like, what?
Yep.
Just thinking of seeing them on social media, what they're doing, what they've accomplished. Now they are parents, they're doctors, they're and just wow, the privilege.
I still now, when I have so my school made the mistake, and they appointed me as the microphone person in the cafeteria. Now,
wow.
I don't know if they did this on purpose or not, but why would you give the podcaster a microphone, right?
Yes.
I get a chance in front of 300 middle schoolers to say 6, 7. And I get a chance to have them every single word that I'm saying, they're on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're waiting for me to say it, and they're waiting for me to say it, and then I get to have them do the little dance. Who's not having fun with this?
Yes.
And so there are times where I'm on the mic or even teaching my class, I'm throwing inside jokes for my own craziness.
Yeah.
That were intended for kids that I had an orchestra 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I get a chance to smile at that, and I get a chance to be thinking about, oh, there was that kid, and there was that, right? And the other, it just, so again, don't look at your feet, right? Like, have some fun, but these moments don't last. And if I would say, if you can zing a couple jokes over their heads, that's awesome. That's a good time.
Yes, absolutely. And then don't talk too many, because then you reveal your age. Like, what's that? Twilight Zone? What's that?
I'll give you a good one here, and I know we're wrapping up soon, but most people like to release the cafeteria in rows, right? Row 1, row 2, row 3, go to the door, etc. Yes. Just for fun, one day I started doing rows, but then I did it in columns also. And so I would do row 1, but then we did column A, and nobody picked up that I was doing spreadsheet jokes.
Gotcha.
But I was having fun with it. The kids that I had in class totally were with me, right?
Yes.
But nobody, like the kids that have never had me before, and all the teachers are like, Colin? Right. But the inside joke about this, and I know she'll never listen to this, but 10, 15 years ago, one of the kids I took to Carnegie Hall, her name was Rose, and we always used to call her Not Columns. And it was just it was a fun little
Mhm.
time. And that was my little nod to, okay, it always goes back to
Yes.
Carnegie.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, fun.
You got to have fun. I tell my younger teachers, you either got to laugh about this or you're going to be crying. So
Yep.
I choose to laugh and smile and enjoy the moments. And it's never a dull moment. You know, it's you walk into work, you don't know what you're going to get. You know what you prepared, but sometimes you have to adapt to the environment and to the
And
kids and their,
it's always the day when you're running late or you
of
have a lot to
course.
prepare when some teacher or
Hmm.
your boss says,
Yes.
hey, do you have a minute? And that's the same thing in coaching. You're running down to a teacher, you're ready to do that meeting, you got everything prepared, and someone's like, hey, my bulb is broken out. Can you help me? Or hey, I need this, or hey,
Hmm.
my password's not. And you're like,
Yes.
gotta go. Like
Yeah.
let's do it all. Let's do it all
Yeah.
right now.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Wouldn't have it any other way. Again, dad of triplets, but wouldn't have it any other way.
Hmm. Well, since you're in this ed space, ed tech space, you know, where is ed tech going? How should teachers prepare? Because you know things change. You know, you and I didn't grow up with carrying around Chromebooks, and you know, how do you see the trajectory of education changing over the next 5, 10, 15 years, and how do we prepare for those shifts? Of course,
I don't
AI is a
know if
big
we
thing.
can. Nobody
Hmm.
was prepared. I don't care who
Okay.
you are.
Okay.
Nobody was prepared for AI.
Hmm.
We might have dreamt it. We might have thought about it. We might have said, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I can little by little." But 5 years ago, nobody was sitting here going, "All right, I'm going to write one sentence, and this thing's going to be made for me."
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's that going to do for my day, my time, my whatever?
Yes.
I did a
Yes.
session recently with a bunch of instructional coaches, and I showed them Google Vids. How do you
Mm.
make a prompt, and Google Vids will do the entire thing for you, and you tweak it up at the end, but there's your instructional video, right?
Wow.
I put in
Wow.
a quick prompt: create a presentation complete with everything for
Hmm.
somebody who doesn't know about this and doesn't like this, that sells them on using Google Vids.
Hmm.
And Google Vids just went, okay. And I have that up on TeacherCast right now. And it's a nice little video that Google Vids made of itself to get people to like it. I'm going,
Yeah.
okay, if I had that 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I
now
mean,
my prompts are,
yeah.
you're a middle school teacher teaching kids who don't want to talk to you. Create a presentation that's going to make kids talk about you. And it does for the best of its abilities.
Sure. Sure.
Because if
Sure.
not, you're the teacher that plays the AI videos. So like, who wants to be that?
Well, I mean, I just did a Google search. I need to look into Google Vids because you know,
It's awesome.
with with technology, I would say the one way we can compare is to kind of keep learning and trying to get on top as much because it's ever evolving. And you know, I wish as a music teacher, as a music student, I really hated writing, and now you know I can put all my emails and it'll proofread and polish it and like just making our lives much more convenient. And also with anything, we have to inspect it, we have to program it, we have to cultivate to do what we needed to do. So
But it goes back to the word through, right?
yes.
What you said, what do teachers think? Well, if they're going to say this is an and I have to learn this. Oh my gosh, Gemini's
Yeah.
now in
Hmm.
classroom. Oh my goodness. No.
Yes.
Gemini
Yeah.
in classroom means you're going to be able to, put like, hey, I'm a third grade teacher doing westward expansion. And then you hit one
Yes.
button and it says, well, here's 10 questions for you.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you only have to change one or two, but that's
Yes.
better than making up 10. And
Hmm.
then there's another button that says, would you like me to put this into Google Forms for you? And
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still teaching. I'm
Yes.
still inspiring. I'm
Yes.
still focusing on this curriculum and subject matter. I'm just doing it with a fresh pot of coffee because I have time to go make it.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 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 Well, it's been a pleasure talking shop with you. How can our listeners, reach out to you, or or find more information? I know you have your TeacherCast network.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. It is a pleasure to be here. And this is only the first conversation we're going to have. Please check out teachercast.net/podcast when Alexander comes onto my show and I get to put him on the hot seat and we get a chance to talk about him for about an hour or so. You can find out more information over at teachercast.net, where you can find out hundreds of podcasts, all of our blog posts. We focus on instructional coaching, instructional technology use, a little bit of productivity, and mostly how do you inspire and change those around you. And I don't mean change in a bad way. I mean, how do you help somebody go from where they are to where they want to be? And how do you do so using standards-based learning? If you're looking for information on my book, you can head on over to teachercast.net/standards. And I hope to see you guys on my next podcast. And so one more time, Alex, thank you so much for having me on today.
Thank you for being a guest. And thanks for joining us today. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode with a colleague. Keep learning, keep growing, and never stop believing in your impact, because you truly make a difference.